of Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Want to save up to 50% on new blinds and shades? Blindstar offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters at prices way less than big box retailers. And right now, save up to 50% off any order during Blindstar's July 4th sale. Hurry, sale ends July 8th. Blindstar.com.
Is this the time?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers held Bronny James out of Sunday's game against Golden State in the California Classic in San Francisco. LeBron's son has some swelling in his left knee after playing Saturday night against Sacramento. The Lakers' rookie team coaching staff says sitting Bronny down was only a precaution. Bronny is expected to play Wednesday against the Miami Heat rookies in the final game of the California Classic. Compton native DeMar DeRozan had a chance to sign with the Lakers and Clippers as a free agent. He chose the Sacramento Kings. DeRozan signed a 3-year deal with Sacramento for $74 million. DeRozan played the last 3 years with Chicago. A major upset at Wimbledon Sunday. Coco Gauff, the last remaining African-American in the prestigious tennis tournament, lost in straight sets Sunday to American Emma Navarro. Gauff was the number 2 seed at Wimbledon. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you Black.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit TheTavisSmileyShow.com. That's TheTavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. Before I give you the rundown, this just occurs to me. Over the weekend, one Frankie Beverly was on stage for the final time. He did the Essence Festival. Some of you were there and probably saw him there. He had opened that festival, or closed it rather, for like 14 years. Stepped away for a number of years, but on the 30th anniversary of the Essence Festival this summer, Frankie Beverly returned to New Orleans, and I'm told turned it out one last time at the Essence Festival. Then he went home to Philadelphia. He lives, of course, here in California in the Bay Area, but he's from Philly. He went to Philly this weekend and did one final performance. So Frankie Beverly is now officially retired from performing on stage, but I can assure you, every day when we start this program, you're still going to hear some Frankie Beverly back in stride again. By the way, that version, people ask me all the time, that version was recorded live here in L.A. in 1984. So I went with, since I'm based in L.A., why not a live version here in L.A. from 1984? And so we open every day with our theme song, our theme music from Frankie Beverly and Mays. But congratulations to my friend and brother, Frankie Beverly, on his last performance at age 77 this past weekend, in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. In our second hour today, journalists Louise Story and Ebony Reed talk about the pervasive systemic issue of black-white wealth inequality with their new text, 15 cents on the dollar, how Americans made the black-white wealth gap. A wealth gap, they argue, that has stifled economic progress for all Americans. We will talk about what should be done to close this gap, should, could, might, ought be done to close this gap, when Louise Story and Ebony Reed join us today in hour two. In our third hour, Sybil Fox and Robert Richardson, affectionately known as Fox and Rob, return to this program to share their compelling story of redemption and love after 20-plus years as a family. Their life-changing ministry work we'll talk about, and their new award-winning documentary, Time to Unfinished Business. The first documentary about their love affair, their incarcerated love affair, was shortlisted and nominated for an Oscar for Best Documentary. They're back now with the second documentary. Fox and Rob will join us today in our third hour. If you've not met them, stick around for hour three. You will not be disappointed when you hear this love story between this brother and sister, again, affectionately known as Fox and Rob. In this first hour today, though, two more conversations. On the B side of this hour, senior member of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, James Zogby, on the benefits of his proposal for the DNC with regard to how best to proceed should President Biden stand down and need to be replaced at the top of the ticket. In a number of private meetings and public conversations as recent as hours ago, the president has said emphatically he is not stepping away, but the matter of finding a replacement just in case, is no longer speculative, according to James Zogby. So we shall see what this particular member of the Democratic National Committee has in mind for how to replace Joe Biden, should that be necessary, on the backside of this hour, our first conversation with a member of the DNC. But we commence today's show on the other side of the aisle with the former chair of the RNC, the Republican National Committee, and former Maryland Lieutenant Governor, the first African-American to sit in either of those seats. Republican chair, Lieutenant Governor in Maryland, Michael Steele, continues in his role as an MSNBC contributor, and I am pleased to welcome him back to this program. Michael Steele, how are you today, sir?
Hey, brother, I'm doing well. It's good to be in your neighborhood,
It's
man.
good to hear your voice. Good to have you on, man. It's hard to know where to start. There is so much to cover today. I think I want to start with this. I'm going to back up as smoothly and as quickly as I can, like a Michael Jackson moonwalk. So let me back my way up. But I will start with the most recent. This is some sound on tape. We call it SOT, from Joe Biden today, the president today, on MSNBC, Michael's network, speaking to Joe and Mika on Morning Joe.
The bottom line here is that we're not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere. I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald Trump in 2024. We had a Democratic nominating process where the voters spoke clearly. I won 14 million of those votes, et cetera. So I not only believe that from the beginning, but I wanted to reassert it and demonstrate that it's true. And I'm going to be doing that all through this week and from here on.
So, Michael Steele, let me start with this. I got about a minute and a half here. We can continue, of course, when we come forward for the rest of the half hour. But your thoughts initially on the president's defiance. I ain't going nowhere.
Go, Joe, go.
Yeah.
Go, Joe, go.
Yeah.
He's made it very clear. He's firmly committed to staying in this race, as he said, and he should. He was the candidate that the Democrats put on the ballot. They put him on in 20. They put him back on in 24. I'm still trying to figure out, Tavis, when the Democrats realized that Joe Biden was old. When you nominate a 77-year-old man in 4 years, you think he's going to be 73?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. So a lot of the hand-wringing and the noise right now is coming from inside the Beltway, the New York Times, who's peaked because Joe Biden hasn't done a sit-down interview with them.
Right.
Whatever their reason is, it doesn't make sense. These voices you're hearing now are doing nothing more than laying down the ground and the commercials for Donald Trump to run in the fall. And I've just never seen a group of people so inept at winning an election that is immensely winnable against an opponent like Donald Trump.
We will talk about that part when we come forward in this hour. Our guest is Michael Steele, former chair of the Republican National Committee, and you're listening to him right now on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Are you concerned about the youth in our community? Family connections are crucial for youth and young adults, especially those in crisis. Sanctuary of Hope is dedicated to improving the lives of these young individuals through bonding, healing, and relationships. Join us on July 11th at 9:30 a.m. at Holman United Methodist Church for breakfast and an inspiring conversation on family connections. You'll meet some of the dedicated Sanctuary of Hope team, community members who have been a part of crisis resolution, and young people whose lives have been transformed by support and care. Learn about the Sanctuary of Hope's programs that assist youth and young adults, and discover how you too can be part of the solution. For more details and to register to attend, visit thesoh.org. That's www.thesoh.org. Join a movement that's making a real difference.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-973-3083. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-973-3083 now to secure your 1904p $20 gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-973-3083.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
This is Tavis Smiley in conversation with the former chair of the RNC, the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele. And he is, of course, a contributor for MSNBC, co-host of MSNBC's This Weekend. And they have a pretty special project they'll be doing at MSNBC coming up soon here, and I will tell you about that part. I'll let Michael tell you about it when we come forward. They got a nice piece of programming that you might want to be, should in fact be aware of. We'll do that before I lose him at the bottom of the hour. So, Michael, I want to play another clip from the president on Morning Joe today. Before I do that, though, let me just get your take. You're going to hear his in a moment. But give me your take on what I would term the Democratic bedwetting. I've said to you in our private conversation that I've never seen anything quite like this in my life. No matter what one thinks of Joe Biden, I've offered my commentary about him. I did a commentary last week on this program why I believe that Kamala Harris might not be the answer to the prayer. I laid out 5 reasons, and I could have gone deeper than that, but 5 reasons why she might not be the answer to the prayer. But the Democratic implosion has been something the likes of which I've never seen in my entire professional career. And I've been at this for 3 decades now. You've been at it for a while yourself. And Republicans, conversely, have a candidate who has done all manner of evil. I mean, all manner of evil, and has promised to do more evil if he gets reelected. Yep. And they have not backed away from him 1 inch, 1 iota. Now, I'm not naive. I ain't stuck on stupid. I understand that one of the reasons they don't back away from him is that he's leading in the polls right now. They don't care about him. They care about running their agenda, Project 2025. I get it. But the fact that they have not backed away from Trump, never mind all the nonsense, but Democrats are just just losing it and imploding over Joe Biden's emphatic statement he's not getting out of the race. How do you read the Democratic response to their candidate?
It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid.
Okay.
I don't. To be honest, I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Look, Joe Biden is not going to go off the stage. He's made that very clear. It was clear last week. I saw that writing on the wall even long before this moment. He has the votes. The voters vetted him over the course of the primary season. If they wanted someone else, they would have made that clear. They would have given him the signal that they weren't with him. He would have been losing to some other candidate, unknown, like we saw in a couple of races where they had any one but candidate on the ballot. If there was just groundswell by voters, not the pundits, not the New York Times, not anyone else, but voters, that they didn't want him, they would have sent that signal. They didn't. They're prepared to ride with him. And how do we know that? We know it, Tavis, because on the day of that debate, Joe Biden was down to Donald Trump by 6 points, right? Nationally, on average. A week after that debate, Joe Biden was down how many points? 6. And in some other polling where there was, for example, he was down by 4 points, it moved 2 points to 6 points. So if you want to be generous and say that Joe Biden didn't lose anything, if you want to be nasty, you say he lost 2 points, not 20, not 15, 2. So voters out there have decided who they want. Here's the reality. They're looking across the aisle from Joe and whatever issues they may have with him, whatever issues they may have with Kamala. And let me get started on Kamala. Democrat trash-mouthed her for 3 years, and now on the back end talking about, she's a good alternative. Really? How are you going to sell that to voters? How are you going to sell her after you've trashed her for 3 years and undermined her authority as vice president by questioning this, that, or the other thing? Set that aside. Let's focus on the real threat to our country right now, which the Supreme Court last week gave license to Donald Trump to become an imperial president, to basically vacate all of the charges and legal issues against him, except for the state of Florida, Georgia, because it's a state issue. The Supreme Court has given him a green light. And so what do you think this country looks like 18 months into the next Trump administration when Project 2025 is full force, when they've wiped out 50,000-plus federal employees and installed sycophants up and down the line? Oh, and another little dirty secret, Donald Trump and Republicans have decried efforts by Democrats to expand the court. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to put 4 more seats on during Trump's 4 years. They're going to expand it to 4, so they have a 10-3 conservative majority going forward. That's what's baked into this. So if all you Democrats out here think that life is going to get better for you after Joe Biden is vanquished by you in this primary in electoral season going into the fall, think again, because it won't be. And if your issues around Palestine, Donald Trump is aligned with Netanyahu on Palestine. So you folks in Minnesota and Michigan, get your head straight, because Joe Biden is going to give you the best solution out of this, as opposed to what Donald Trump has already said about Palestine. Abortion, go down the list. Yeah. So I don't get what the bedwetting is about, my friend. I see the threat. I'm ready to go fight the threat. As a Republican, I'm ready to stand with my fellow Democrats and my fellow independents out there to keep the country so I can have the fight with Joe Biden on bigger policy issues, as opposed to worrying about being handcuffed in the middle of the night by the DOJ and the FBI because Donald Trump doesn't like my opinion on something.
It is fascinating to watch, again, the way this implosion is happening in front of our eyes. I digress on that for now. Here's some more sound. Speaking of the president on Morning Joe, we played a clip earlier, and Michael was just talking a moment ago about all the big-time Democrats, New York Times and others, who are suggesting that his time is up and he ought to get out of the race. Here's his response to all of them.
They're big names, but I don't care what those big names think. They were wrong in 2020. They're wrong in 2022 about the red wave. They're wrong in 2024. and come out with me. Watch people react. You make a judgment. You make a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I'm going to have all these foreign leaders here. I've been in contact with the new British Prime Minister, anyway. Look, the country, the rest of the world is looking, our allies are looking for U.S. leadership. Who else do you think could step in here and do this? I expanded NATO. I solidified NATO. Ask your brother about it in Poland. I made sure that we're in a position where we have a coalition of people, of the nations around the world to deal with China, with Russia, with everything that's going on in the world. We're making real progress. The Biden plan, which got in Israel for the Gaza Strip, is something that was adopted by the UN Security Council. Whether it comes to fruition, it's awful close. We'll see. G7's okay. But look, I'm not going to explain any more about what I should or shouldn't do. I am running. Mm-hmm. And if you want to stop me,
there again, Michael. You hear the president. I'm covered in now. He went on and on and on. But there you hear once again the president being defiant. That's the most recent from Morning Joe earlier today. There are two things that come to mind right quick. Just trying to manage my time with you. These 10 minutes I have left. Let me start with this. I don't know that I like the way the president is starting to sound, and you're a political strategist, so you'll get exactly where I'm going. He has agency and has the right to stay in this race if he so chooses. To his point and to your point, he won the delegates. He campaigned. Democrats could have run somebody else against him. They tried a few people. It didn't really work. So they, to your point, nominated this guy, and I love your point. They just now realized he was old? I mean, come on. So I take your point. Democrats did this to themselves. Having said that, the president is starting to sound defensive. And that, as you know, is not a good way to run for anything. On the defensive. He's sounding really defensive. And I'm not naive. I'm not stuck on stupid. I get it. I'm just saying if I were in his inner circle, I'd tamp that down. And I get, again, why he's emotional about this. But he's starting to sound defensive, number one. And now you're crossing the line and you're starting to say, I don't care about those big names. So now you're slapping back at other Democrats. Again, I'm not sure that is the right strategy. You stay on message, as they say in the Beltway. You stay on message, but sounding defensive and slapping other Democrats, I'm not sure that is, as George Bush might say, good strategery. Michael Steele.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you for my favorite Bushism there.
Yeah.
I use that a lot.
Strategery.
And I try to employ strategery wherever I can. So I get your point. You know what? But I'm going to give the 81-year-old man an opportunity to sound defensive because they piled on him unnecessarily. Mm-hmm. His own team, and so it may sound defensive, but it's anger and it's frustration, and it's always a Washington thing to sort of take someone's anger and frustration and make it sound defensive, like being defensive about something. I'm defending my position.
Got it.
I'm defending what I've done. You're attacking me based on what? My age. That's the only thing you're attacking me on is my age. You're looking past the fact that I negotiated all these things with an uncooperative Republican House and still got you infrastructure, still controlled inflation, still brought the CHIP Act to the table and got it passed, still did all these other things. So you're blowing past my record and just focusing on my age. And what he's trying to do is to say, look, yeah, I'm old. I get it. You get it. And why don't you get it? But look at what I've done as an 81-year-old man, as an 80-year-old man. So I'll give him that to a point. To a point.
Right. I take your point. There are two other things that occur to me. There are really only two ways this story ends. One way I opined on this program the other day, last week. You've seen this as many times as I have in your career. I frame it this way. I ain't going, I ain't going, I ain't going, I ain't going. He's gone. That's one frame, right? I ain't going. And they keep saying it. And then ultimately, they're gone. There's a long list of those names, as you and I both well know. Right. All right. The other way it is that somehow he successfully turns the page. My question is, what does that look like? I mean, at this point, with all the hell he's catching, how does he effectively turn the page on this particular story, this particular narrative, as more Democrats come out saying in the House he ought to step down?
Okay, so here I'm gone.
Yeah.
Here's the deal on that. In any other scenario, this was 6 months ago. Yes, that plays out. 3.5 months before the general election, there's no way that works.
Fair enough.
There is no way you just swap out a candidate, because if it's anyone other than Kamala, you got two issues. You got a money issue and you got a black vote issue.
Mm-hmm.
So Democrats they've already compounded their problems. They took what was a bad debate and they made the after actions and the after narrative on that worse.
Worse, yeah.
What we're dealing with right now is worse than what we saw. So they've complicated and created their own problems.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece on this, to your second point, is you can show me Joe Biden could be sitting in the corner in his underwear drooling out of one side of his mouth. I'm standing with him because the guy opposite him wants to take my rights away. The guy opposite him wants to create concentration camps in the United States of America. The guy opposite from him wants to use the federal government as his own bank. The guy opposite him wants to strip away more rights of African Americans and women in this country, Hispanics and others. I'm not about that. I just know that the people around the guy, the 81-year-old, are going to be a damn sight better than the people around the 78-year-old who cannot himself string together conversations. Did you hear the man talk about electric batteries and sharks?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear Joe Biden. I didn't hear the press get all crazy about that. They laughed at it. They were entertained by it, and that's the problem. Our press and our political class are still entertained by the threat in front of them. And folks need to get their heads put on straight so they understand exactly what it is. Joe Biden is not our problem at 81. What Donald Trump is at 78.
I got two minutes left here with you. What's up with George Stephanopoulos asking the president if he would take a cognitive exam, but ain't nobody asked Donald Trump to do the same thing? George ain't asked Donald Trump to do that.
And Donald Trump volunteered that he did a cognitive test. Really, we didn't see it. You didn't release it.
Yeah.
And you know, your doctor, Dr. Jackson or Johnson or whatever you want to call him, you don't even know the name of your own doctor, right? Is going to put out something crazy anyway. So yeah, George is going to do what George said he had to do to sort of, you know, further the narratives about this president being cognitively impaired, which is all again part of the deconstruction of this by Democrats. I mean, again, you started this conversation by noting Republicans have rallied around their serial sexual predator, their 34-time indicted felon, their fraudster, and their wannabe dictator. They have not broken ranks from him since he stepped on that stage in 2016. Marco Rubio and others are now trying to position themselves to be his vice president after they declared the man was unfit for office. So, you know, Democrats can sort of whine about Joe Biden as they come to your neighborhood and take away your rights and take away your family members and your friends and the people you know, because that's what Project 2025 is all about.
So your view is very quickly that Joe Biden will, in fact, survive this brouhaha.
I think he does if Democrats shut the hell up and get behind him and run. I mean, you're not getting anybody else in the race at this point. You're just not.
Nope, I take your point.
And to your point, you know, I'm out, I'm in, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
If that happens, you're not going to have enough time to pull together an effective race and convince the country that we can swap out this guy and put in someone else.
No, I think you're right. As long as he keeps saying I ain't going, it's going to be harder to push him off the stage. So and it's going to be harder to push him off. Number one, so he's on point strategically. Just keep saying you ain't going. Run the clock out, because at some point they can't push you off the stage, and if they do, there'll be a serious bloodletting. So I think you're right about his strategy. In the 30 seconds I have left, I read something. I was trying to find it. I can't put my hands on it fast enough. But I read something about a big special you guys doing at MSNBC that you're a part of. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So we're doing a number of what we call sort of collaborative efforts with our fans and trying to draw out the community. And so in September, we're looking to have sort of this grand gathering, which I'm pretty excited about.
Right.
You know, it's going to be. I'm trying to get that date.
Don't worry about. I'll find it. I promise the audience. I'll find it. It's somewhere in my stack of stuff too. I will find it because I'm out of time now. I'll find it. Tell the audience about it. It's coming up in September, so we've got time to have you back on again to talk about it. I just wanted to tee it up now while you were here, but we'll get to it later. I'll find it and share with the audience. For now, though, Michael Steele, I thank you. As I said, we'll do it again in the not too distant future. All the best to you, my friend.
All right, buddy. Take care now.
Good to have you on. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish. Minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
We thank you for joining us here on the Black Information Network. Now, another update on Hurricane Beryl. More than 2 million customers are without power as the storm lashes Texas. That's according to PowerOutage.us. Outages are expected to continue as the Category 1 storm moves inland. Heavy rains and gusty winds are creating the risk of flooding and tornadoes. The Essence Festival closed out Sunday night in New Orleans, Louisiana, marking the 30th anniversary of the event that showcases and celebrates black culture. The final night featured a performance from Janet Jackson at a tribute to Frankie, Beverly, and Mays, the act that closed out the fest for its first several years. Organizers say the festival pumped more than $300 million into the local economy. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Want to save up to 50% on new blinds and shades? Blind Store offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters at prices way less than big box retailers. And right now, save up to 50% off any order during Blind Store's July 4th sale. Hurry, sale ends July 8th. Blindstore.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers held Bronny James out of Sunday's game against Golden State in the California Classic in San Francisco. LeBron's son had some swelling in his left knee after playing Saturday night against Sacramento. The Lakers rookie team coaching staff says sitting Bronny down was only a precaution. Bronny is expected to play Wednesday against the Miami Heat rookies in the final game of the California Classic. Compton native DeMar DeRozan had a chance to sign with the Lakers and Clippers as a free agent. He chose the Sacramento Kings. DeRozan signed a 3-year deal with Sacramento for $74 million. DeRozan played the last 3 years with Chicago. A major upset at Wimbledon Sunday. Coco Gauff, the last remaining African-American in the prestigious tennis tournament, lost in straight sets Sunday to American Emma Navarro. Gauff was the number 2 seed at Wimbledon. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
We thank Michael Steele, former chair of the Republican National Committee, for being our lead guest today. In a moment, James Zogby, who I will introduce here in just a second. I want to just give you the information that I couldn't get my hands on fast enough a moment ago regarding Michael Steele. So here's the update, and we'll talk more about it when he comes back on again, but I don't want to leave you hanging this way. MSNBC recently announced MSNBC Live Democracy 2024, and Michael Steele is at the center of this project. It's an inaugural audience-focused event featuring more than a dozen of the most well-known MSNBC hosts, which will take place on Saturday, September 7th at BAM, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and you can go to msnbc.com for more details about it. But they're taking MSNBC essentially on the road with some of their best contributors. Michael Steele is a part of that group, and the first appearance will be Saturday, September 7th, for those listening to us right now in New York City. Saturday, September 7th at BAM, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, or if you're an MSNBC fan and want an excuse to go hang out with some of your favorite contributors and spend some money in New York, Saturday, September 7th, they will be at BAM in New York City, in Brooklyn specifically. All right, so there it is. Sorry I couldn't get that to you fast enough moments ago, but wanted to keep my word to get it to you now. That said, I'm pleased to welcome to this program a senior member of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. As I mentioned, Michael Steele, he ran the other side, the RNC. This guy, James Zogby, is on the DNC, on their committee, senior member, and he is going to talk to us in a moment here about the benefits of his proposal to the DNC for how best to proceed should President Biden stand down and need to be replaced at the top of the ticket. Now, you just heard me play some clips of the president as recently as moments ago, hours ago, on MSNBC, speaking of MSNBC, talking to Morning Joe, Joe and Mika saying he ain't going nowhere. He didn't say it that way, but he made it very clear, emphatically, I am not getting out of this race. On top of that, the president sent a letter this morning to members of the Democratic Party. He sent a letter to the DNC. It's entitled, the greeting says, fellow Democrats. The president posted this letter on his own social media. So I'm sure James Zogby got a copy of this directly from the president. But everybody else who wants to read it can go to the president's social media platforms and see the letter he wrote for yourself to fellow Democrats. It's a long letter, and I ain't got time to read it. But you should read what the president had to say to all Democrats across the country, including one James Zogby. Before I bring James Zogby on, here again a little bit more sound from the president today on Morning Joe.
I was feeling so badly before the debate. When I came back, they tested me for, I thought maybe I had COVID, maybe there was something wrong, I had an infection or something. They tested me, they gave me those tests, I was clear. So, but look, I had a bad night. But the fact of the matter is, look at what I'm doing. I mean, let me put it this way. If there was something that was wrong that night, it's not like it comes and that's one night and it goes away. That's why I've been out. I've been testing myself, been testing everywhere I go, going out and making the case. The night of that debate, I went out. I was out till 2 o'clock in the morning that very night. That very night, it drives me nuts, people talking about this. That very night, I'm talking to large crowds. Look at the crowds we've gathered everywhere from Atlanta to North Carolina to Pennsylvania, and look at the enthusiasm. But it was right after. And where the hell's Trump been? What has Trump said or done except deny and lie about what he's for?
All right, James Zogby, that's your president, the titular head of your party, saying that you all are driving him nuts. You heard him. Y'all driving him nuts with all this talk of him standing down, James Zogby.
Yeah, thank you, Tavis, for the intro. But I have to say that the headline that read "One time senior member," it only means I'm old. And I've been on there for a long time. But look, I read the president's letter. It didn't get sent to me, but I saw it online. And it was an argument, a case that he would make for his presidency, and nobody is disputing his vision. Nobody is disputing his domestic successes. No one is disputing the record. What they're disputing right now is whether or not there has been enough evidence of failing in terms of his capacity to run a campaign. His performance at the debate and many things that have happened since have raised a lot of questions, serious questions. Now, I'm not saying he should leave. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying to the party, my memo to the party was, should he decide to leave, there ought to be a spelled out process for replacement. I've heard people talking about he simply, if he does leave, well, he just pass the mantle to Kamala. I don't think that that is fair to her. I don't think it's fair to the party or our chances. I think what would be the best way to move forward, and what I laid out, is that there be a competitive process in the party to elect our next nominee. I think she'd win, but I think she would be better served by winning than by simply getting the handoff.
So tell me,
and it would generate excitement. It would generate energy within the party. We would dominate the news for the next 5 weeks with a sort of a compressed mini primary. We would drown out the Republicans and drown out all the negative press that we're getting. I mean, look, there are 2-3 stories a day about a flub here and a misstatement here. That's not serving him. That's not the way for him to go out. And that's not the way for us to win an election in November.
I'm kind of laughing internally, James, because the way you describe this process reminds me of the way that the Bush people told us we'd be greeted in the streets of Iraq when we went over to liberate them. And you recall how badly that turned out. We were not greeted with flowers and gifts. It didn't quite turn out that way when we went into Baghdad. And so the way you've described it makes it sound so nice and so neat. But, man, there's going to be a bloodletting if you have a competition to replace the president. I'm not suggesting it's a bad idea. I'm just saying you make it sound really nice and neat. I don't see it that way, brother.
Well, number one, I was one of the few people, even in the Democratic Party at the time, who argued that we should not go into Iraq because I knew that the projections were stupid. And I tried to get a resolution passed at the Democratic National Committee, and I was ruled out of order. Even though I was chairman of the Resolutions Committee at the time, they would not let there be a second of my motion nor a vote on it, even though when I presented it, I got an ovation. But then they said, we're not going to debate this today because we want to stand tall with the president. That was wrong then, but I think I'm right now. I think that there would be excitement in the party about a competitive process because people feel strongly. I've been talking to DNC members. They've been calling me and writing me. They feel that we need new energy in the party. We need to turn the page on a daily gaffe here, a daily gaffe there, and the idea that it simply be handed off to the vice president while she is vice president and deserves it. And I think, like I said, she'd win because the delegates who are coming to the convention are all Biden delegates. They're not going to stray far from the field. This is not 1968 with a McCarthy, nor is it. We've not had a competitive process here. So the delegates are all going to be appointed by the White House.
Let me challenge you again, James. I love you and I respect you and I enjoy our conversation, but you and I we ain't hitting on all cylinders today. I just don't see it that way. When you say the delegates are going to come and they're all going to vote for Kamala, I don't see it. If you give them other choices, Kamala is not going to win all those delegates, number one. And number two, I reminded the audience the other day, she ran a poor campaign the last time. She couldn't win the Democratic nomination when she ran. So just because she's been vice president, she's made many of her own gaffes, as we all know. I think if you put you give a convention Kamala Harris, you give them Gavin Newsom, you give them Gretchen Whitmer, you give them on and on and on and on. I'm not so sure I believe that she'd win. I'm not debating whether she should or shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't think, again, it's going to be that neat. I think that just because they were Biden-Harris delegates, Biden's top of the ticket. They weren't voting for Kamala, respectfully. They were voting for Joe Biden. She's number two. But now voting for her would be voting for number one. And if you give them other choices, I'm not so sure she automatically wins. Hold your thought. I want to hear your response when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
I know it's gonna happen without you.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
He does indeed with James Ogby, senior member of the Democratic National Committee, with his own proposal for what should happen, how things ought to be handled if the president does, in fact, get pushed out or decides to stand down. You heard me say with Michael Steele, I've seen this too many times in my life. I ain't going, and then he's gone. He keeps saying emphatically he's not going anywhere. We shall see. The number of Democrats in the House is up to 12 or more now. It's only 12, but again, it keeps growing, the number of people inside the Democratic Party asking him to stand down. So, James, straight to you with why you think Kamala would win if there were an open competition. And here's my point very quickly. She couldn't win her own campaign when she ran, number one. I think you're right. Just because she's vice president, that doesn't necessarily mean she should be handed the mantle, although she would take it. But there are other voices saying that she should be handed the mantle. You've heard James Clyburn. You've heard Al Sharpton. There are other Democrats who are already lining up. You've heard a lot of these sisters, LaFonza Butler. You've heard Donna Brazile. You've heard Mignon Moore. There are a bunch of people lining up inside the DNC behind her saying that she should, in fact, be handed the mantle. Now I pass the mic to you, sir.
Well, I heard Clyburn. And Clyburn said she should win in a competitive election, in a competitive primary. That's what Clyburn said.
Okay, fair enough.
And I think, I support him completely on that. And if you are right that she in fact would be unpopular, and if she ran, she might lose, how much more damaging would it be if she's that unpopular that she simply be handed it and there'd be no one to contest her? That would be, I think, devastating for her and the party.
I agree.
I think you're giving her short shrift here. I think she actually would be competitive. She's grown a lot in the job, and I think, frankly, we could have a primary that would be respectful, that would involve people like the people you mentioned, and also Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, and Cory Booker, and maybe Congressman Ro Khanna, who would all sign a pledge ahead of time, the way the Republicans have done it, which is to say, I'll endorse the nominee. I'm in this to have a debate on the issues, but I'm not going to run a negative campaign. They only got a month to do it. And frankly, if they did run a negative campaign, the party would turn against whoever did it, because frankly, Democrats know the big issue here is, how do we defeat Donald Trump? Who in the final seconds of this game is the best person we want on the foul line taking those shots? And I think that we do not want to see a situation where every single day the feeding frenzy that the press are on continues, and it's a gaffe here, a misstep there, and that becomes the issue we talk about. We need to be talking about exactly what was in the president's letter. I'm just not sure at this point that he's going to be able to pull that off. And frankly, I think that we need to consider what is the process we use to replace him.
I hear your point. I don't disagree with anything you said, except that it ain't like Kamala, as I said earlier, hasn't made a bunch of gaffes herself. A gaffe here, a gaffe there. Joe Biden ain't the only one who makes gaffes. I digress on that point. I guess the question is, I saw Adam Schiff yesterday on Meet the Press. And I like Adam Schiff. He was literally just in this studio days ago, sitting in this chair that I'm looking at right in front of me. And Adam Schiff says on Meet the Press, he believes that Kamala would beat Donald Trump overwhelmingly. That was his term, overwhelmingly. Right now, up against Trump, she's still 2 points down. Biden may be 6 points down. She's 2 points down, so she's faring slightly better than him if you buy the poll numbers within the plus or minus range. But the point is, for Adam Schiff and others to say that they believe she would overwhelmingly defeat Donald Trump, where's the evidence of that, James Ogby?
I don't see the evidence at all,
Jesus.
But I do think she would beat. Look, my favorite candidate, if truth be known, is Bernie Sanders. It's not going to happen.
I got it.
He doesn't want to do it, and it'll never happen. But frankly, we have to have somebody who can carry this mantle and run. I'm going to use so many metaphors: run with the ball, cross the finish line. But the point is that I have confidence in her. I have confidence, frankly, in any one of those people you or I mentioned as possible contenders. We have a case to make. Donald Trump does not have a case to make. But right now, with the focus on us instead of on him, we're not doing that well.
I agree. I just think that, and we'll continue in our remaining moments here, I just think that it's easier said than done, or not. That's actually not true. It is easier to push Joe Biden, perhaps easier to push him off the stage than it is to find a replacement that can be competitive. And I just don't buy the argument that there's evidence that suggests that Democrats are now saying that she can overwhelmingly beat Trump. I don't want Trump. Let me be abundantly clear. I'm not bashing Kamala. I'm just saying that all of this talk about this, that, and the other, and now Democrats are doing too much. And Adam Schiff, I love him, just wrong. Show me some evidence that I don't get it. Anyway, our remaining moments with James Zogby when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth. Speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit LAFLA.org. LAFLA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and James Zogby, founder and president of the Arab American Institute, author and senior DNC committee member, out with a proposal for an alternative way to replace Joe Biden. If, in fact, he stands down or is forced out, he has said emphatically once again today in a television interview on MSNBC, Morning Joe to be exact, he is not going anywhere. He is not getting out of this race. So I give the last 2 minutes to you, James Zogby. I'm reading also a piece in the Washington Post right now where the president basically says, if you want to challenge me, come to Chicago and challenge me. Come to the Democratic Convention and challenge me from the floor. He's saying this to Democrats, if you want to challenge me, that's your right, but I am not going anywhere. So I close by asking, what do you think then is going to happen in Chicago this summer?
I think we're going to hear from more members of Congress. We're going to hear from members of the Senate. We're going to hear from more of the donors. And I think before week's end, we ought to have a clearer picture of where this is going to go. Members of Congress, especially those in close races, are very nervous about this. In the polling that we're looking at, I've heard people say, well, he's not going to have coattails, but he may ride on the members' coattails. It doesn't work that way. People don't vote for the bottom level and then decide, oh, I'm going to vote for Biden too. It's got to work the other way.
Right.
And look, let me tell you, enormously, it's been genocidal and just a nightmare. And Kamala is not going to have that visited upon her in the same way, because she has in fact said things that have been compassionate and thoughtful about Palestinians and their suffering, as well as about Israel and the trauma there. And we are losing in the polling young Black, young Asian, young Latino, young progressive Jews, and clearly my community, Arab Americans. She will bring a lot of that back, and they are part of what has been called the Obama coalition. We can't do without them. We need them back. Losing 25% of some of those constituencies is a death knell for the Democratic Party. We cannot do it. Kamala could help bring those back.
It is going to be a long, hot summer, and I will be in Chicago at the end of it in August, near the end of the summer, for the week-long Democratic National Convention. I will see James Zogby there. I expect to have James Zogby on this program when I'm in Chicago to ask him how things are going when we're in the thick of things. So, James, I'm going to ask him face-to-face in Chicago. James, is this what you expected? We will see what that looks like when we get to Chicago, 6-7 weeks from now. So it's getting closer than it's coming faster than I thought, James.
I'll be spending the week at Rainbow Push. We have a number of programs we're doing there with Rainbow Push, and we're excited about it.
And I will see you there covering those events, and we'll get a chance to talk about the convention in real time. For now, James Zogby, thanks for coming on to talk about your proposal as a DNC committee member, and I'll see you soon in Chicago, Lord willing. Take care, my friend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
We thank you for joining us here on the Black Information Network. Now, another update on Hurricane Beryl. More than 2 million customers are without power as the storm lashes Texas. That's according to poweroutage.us. Outages are expected to continue as the Category 1 Santa, marking the 30th anniversary of the event that showcases and celebrates black culture. The final night featured a performance